What is good, everyone? Nick Engvall here. As you know, I do not know what to call this particular podcast. Obviously, we have the Sneaker History podcast where we talk about sneakers. A lot of times that's interviews as well. But we lean pretty heavily into the sneaker aspect of things on there. And Outside the Box obviously started as a sneaker thing, but as you can tell from the name, it's not necessarily supposed to be the normal sneaker type content. So, as I made the change to doing these solo shows a few years back and started calling it Outside the Box Conversations with Creators, that kind of is what resonates with me. I just want to talk to people that are doing cool shit, basically. And that is where I'm headed with this show. I know I said that in a previous episode recently, but I wanted to kind of reiterate that and also ask for your input on it. I've thought about calling it just Outside the Box. I've thought about, calling it the Conversations with Creators. I've thought about just calling it the Nick Engvall podcast or something. I've thought about calling it, like the name Unplanned Entrepreneur came to mind because it's kind of like all these people that are doing what I consider creative entrepreneurial things, but it's not really the plan that everybody sets out for. A lot of us have jobs, a lot of us are doing side hustles, but obviously I'm not trying to become some sort of guru about side hustles or anything. I'm just trying to learn from people, talk to people that I think are doing cool things, and take things away that I can apply to my life. And hopefully, if you're listening, you can do the same. So if you have any thoughts on that, definitely let me know. You can do that through Instagram, the sneaker newsletter on Substack, or reviews on these podcast channels. Wherever is easiest for you to reach out to me, I'm totally good with that. If you got my phone number, shoot me a text. If you got my email, shoot me an email. I would love to hear from you because obviously this 2026 thing for me is about being able to sustain my independence while being creative and speaking my truth, telling the stories, and introducing you to the cool people that I've met along the way. So this episode is actually with somebody you might be really familiar with because he is one of my partners in the Sneaker History podcast. Mike Guillory is on with me today to talk about his YouTube journey, his creative journey. I don't think we talk about that on the Sneaker History show much because we're always talking about the shoes and the releases and the events and all those things. But I wanted to kind of shine a light on Mike's journey because I've watched him. I met Mike before he even had a YouTube channel, and he's just really been consistent with the uploads. And he's really kind of built himself a cool little slice of the internet, let's say. So I wanted to talk to him about all those things. Obviously, we'll be kind of all over the place with this conversation too, because we're not necessarily doing the sneaker stuff. But I learned a lot about his YouTube journey that I didn't already know. We talk pretty much all the time. But this conversation is really cool because I get to learn kind of the thought process behind what Mike does, some of the things that he does that makes his life creating on a regular basis easier, which for me is definitely something I'm trying to learn as I'm cranking out 4 newsletters a week, 5 newsletters a week, cranking out YouTube videos, cranking out multiple podcasts a week. I'm just doing a lot right now. And eventually I will have to slow down from some of this stuff. But one of the things that I'm trying to do is make sure that I put a lot of effort into all of these things to see what really resonates with the people like you that have been supportive of me for so long. So without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Mike Guillory. I hope you enjoy. All right. I'm here with my guy, Mike Guillory, my co-host on the Sneaker History podcast, fellow sneaker creative who, I don't know, man, I feel like we kind of been learning the ropes for the last 5 or 6 years together on a lot of things. You started your YouTube channel, 2018, 2019, something like that? 2020?
Dude, I started right before COVID. So when we did, we had been, about 9 months into the podcast. And I was just sitting at home. And I was like, you know what? I want to do this. And I give my wife credit because she's like, just go do it. He said, what's the worst that can happen? I was like, well, fair.
Yep.
So it was January of 2020 is when I started, which is a weird time because that's right before all the nonsense of COVID happened, and then the big YouTube boom of everyone creating a channel. So I was like, I promise I wasn't a COVID YouTuber. It's just bad timing. What do you want from me? But yeah,
hey,
man,
you gotta take advantage of those situations and use them to your advantage anyway. Like I think that's one of those things that in hindsight, I look back and think I don't want to say I regret much because like, man, it's been a fun ride for me, but like I do look back and think like if I would have just stuck to it and had that, like that voice, having your wife say, just go for it. This is going to be a little too much information. And I don't know if I'll ever be ready to share this publicly, but the only person outside of like my brother that has seen this is Jacques Slade. I made YouTube videos, sneaker YouTube videos, like, I don't even know, 2013, 14, something like that.
Wait, hold on. I didn't even know this.
Yeah, I was so uncomfortable on camera. And Jacques is like one of my guys. Like he was like the only person that I knew that could give me feedback and would give me honest feedback at the time. I remember the shoe was the Reebok Vision DMX, one of my favorite shoes from way back in the day. It's like one of those like kind of Iverson era. It's got the DMX, like the DMX run outsole on like a basketball shoe. But yeah, man, like it's one of those things where like there's so many moments like that. And I wanted to talk to you about this kind of stuff too, because like obviously I just started this newsletter. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going with it all. But I've had so much of a struggle finding like actual work, consistent work over the last like year and a half, that has to be the mentality, right? It's just like,
do it.
Screw it. We got to just do it. Like everything that we talk about on the show, that we talk about in our content, that when we meet people, like the only difference between them and us usually is like, they just did it and they just didn't stop. It's like, obviously I'm a huge Nipsey Hussle fan. So that's what comes to my mind with that. Is just like, he says that in interviews all the time, or said that, rest in peace, in interviews all the time, where he's just like, I just didn't stop, like I just kept going. And, to have somebody like that in your corner is a huge help to keep that moving for you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, man, 100%. Because I mean, I tell you, just like the ebbs and flows of, unfortunately, when you do content, you're kind of at the mercy of those algorithms for different websites. And there's times you're riding high, like, oh, this is doing great. There's sometimes like, oh my God, this could be any worse.
Yeah.
Being consistent is the main thing. And if you're going to do it, don't play to a trend. I feel like that's a lot of things that happen. People play to a trend and then they'll go viral, but then you can't follow it up. You got to be very consistent and very authentic together when it comes to your content, because it may not be on Mr. Beast numbers out there, but you know what? People don't realize that you have, let's say, starting off with 100 followers, 100 subscribers. That's 100 people sitting there talking to you, which is insane to think. An auditorium full of people, 100 people sitting there listening to you. And it just, when you put it in that perspective, it's like, yeah, let me keep going and see what I can do, because someone out there appreciates this. And I think that's the mindset people have to kind of transition to, is like, oh, instead of going from I'm not here, well, look at who's watching you now. Like, you got to appreciate that somewhere.
Yeah, man. Well, and that's another interesting thing that I wanted to get into about because you brought this up with sneaker history. I don't know when this conversation will air, but we're about to hit 500 episodes on sneaker history, and you're 2 videos away from 500 videos on your YouTube channel, which is
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, which is
I didn't even realize
so I didn't know what you were saying, and then I looked at yours to talk to you, and I was like, oh man,
what are the
crazy,
odds of that?
right?
I had no idea. I haven't counted.
Yeah, because once you get into it, you're just going, right? You just like, hey, I'm just doing this.
Jeez.
And like the consistency is a part of that. And I think with sneaker history, the podcast, it's always challenging to promote a podcast, right? Because people don't necessarily want to listen to an hour every day about sneakers. Specifically, it's a little bit hard to like find that audience, when you have a big, kind of media company behind you, like a Complex, they can be consistent. They can, kind of build that, do all the things around the show that brings people into the show. And we have a great audience with the Sneaker History podcast.
Yeah.
We're, excuse me, we're creeping up on 600,000 downloads, which, like you said, every episode is, 700-800 people listening to the show. And on good ones, we might do 2,000 or 3,000 people listening to the show. And to think about that is like, it's intimidating, man. It's super like I've spoken to like groups before, like pretty good sized groups, but not 2,000-3,000 people.
Right?
Like that's a lot of people listening. So
Yeah.
with your YouTube channel, do you ever think about that? Because like I know like at first it's obviously like you said, it's like some things go, some things don't, and you're just like you've got those huge ups and downs. But like looking at your channel, I remember when you first started, we would get excited because you got a couple thousand views on a video.
Man,
and like
happy.
I look at your channel now and you got like probably, 5 or 10 that are in the like 30, 40, 50,000 and up range. And it's just like the compounding effort of that effort and that consistency is what really makes it awesome.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's like it gets to, I mean, I can't replicate some of those videos. It's just they caught fire because maybe I met a need that nobody had met yet. And I think that's really, I take pride in my channel in that aspect. Is like I try to find those holes that aren't being filled, those needs aren't being met. Because I mean, with sneaker YouTube, there's only so many times you can look at a Jordan 11 before you're like, all right, I get it, it's cool. Like from Jacques, I know he's more transitioned to more golf things now, but still, Jacques was one of the first ones. You got people, shout out Chris Nightwing. You got freaking Foamer and Buckets. You got people who've been doing this for so long. Tony, who've been doing this forever, and it's like people go to them first for the hype shoes, the releases are the main releases, right? Cool, I'll do it if I something I really like. But if I look at things like an A6 Japan, that is one of my highest, if not the highest, like watched video on my channel because there's 5 videos total of that, and no one really diving into the shoe of what it is. So if I can meet that need, that's what I'm looking for because I don't know, I'm just a person out there who I love shoes. Like they make me happy. It's just like as a hobby. And being like, I've always been kind of a weird individual of like kind of going off the beaten path. Let me find something no one's talking about. And Lord, there's like apparently 10,000 other people out there who are weird just like me. So it's awesome,
I mean, it's true though. And I think that's like a really interesting thing, right? Because I wonder what you think about like the videos where, let me frame this for people that are not into sneakers that might listen to this or watch this. Like sneakers has like, let's say there's 10,000 shoes that come out every month across the board. There's like 10 that everybody talks about. And then there's like 2 or 3 that are almost impossible to get your hands on that ultimately become like the ones that people chase, or the ones that people collect, the ones that people hate, the ones that people love. Like it's a very passionate group of people that are into sneakers. For you, if you're getting like a pair of those, like let's say 10 crazy desirable shoes out of the 10,000 that come out, is it better or worse? Because it's almost like those are such shiny objects in the sneaker space that you almost have more competition at that level than you would if you did like the A6 Japan or, like some of the Saucony stuff that you did early on, where I was like I was so excited about that because you know how much I love Saucony.
I love the guys at Saucony. Shout out to like Josh and Jason. Like, I get frustrated now because now everybody wants Saucony because like they doing some great things. When I was buying them, there was no one doing Saucony reviews. I'm like, yes, this is my space. I love it because I've been wearing them since like middle school and just kind of circling back that love of them. But now they're like popular, so you get a J-Tips Saucony is like, crap, I'm the last one to do this review. I'm not even gonna do the review. I love this shoe. I'm just gonna love it for me. But yeah, I think it's harder because let's say you get on this run of winning raffles, making contact. Maybe you got lucky, people brought, sent some stuff your way with these very, like saying these shiny objects, these high energy sneakers.
Yeah.
Cool. You got 10. You going to be able to keep it up for 10 more? Because it gets hard. I am super grateful for the things I get my hands on, but I feel like sometimes it's not practical to keep that run up because I can't afford every release. For those who can, God bless you. You know what? Yeah. You're doing some things out there. You keep on going, but it's not as sustainable. So finding things out there that you really like, because people will key in on your actual excitement about things. It's like, are you truly excited about this shoot, or just doing it, going through the motions? Which, unfortunately, we get a lot of people out there going through the motions, and yeah, they're doing great, but you know, how long are they gonna stay around to give you like to put on those videos and give you that information? Because when something new comes up, they're gonna move along to the thing that really excites them. And look for, you go into JD Sports, you go into Foot Locker, wherever it may be, you don't just get Travis Scott Jordan in front of you. You get all these really cool things, and there's an audience for them. So I think that being able to speak to a little bit of everything is, you know, may not be the sexy thing, but I think it's going to be the more sustainable thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's like, you know, I'll have to like talk to Jacques about this, and maybe see if I can get Seth Fowler to talk about this, because I know they both have, you know, they both have gone down different paths when it comes to like the releases and like getting the releases and like buying the early pairs so you have them, or paying to get it early, or you know, I mean, once you get to that level as a business, like it's just a cost of doing business.
Exactly.
And like,
yeah.
It's like, you know, people have shoes overnighted so they can work on that video before everybody else gets it out there. But I feel like that's such a hard place to compete at when, you know, I feel like content is also moving away from that, you know, like it's kind of moving towards, you know, more of a more personalized, I guess, which will ultimately mean less views, because people have to find their like people that they want to watch and like grow with. But it is really interesting to kind of think, you know, that idea of like having those shoes early is tough, because you can't repeat it all the time. It's not a guaranteed success. So if you model your YouTube channel on that, could be a really dangerous slippery slope, whereas like you're so discouraged 2-3 months into doing it that you're just like, okay, well, I'm not going to do this. Because I feel like there's a lot of people that have done that through the years, and you kind of also see it in like the resale side of things. You know, you saw
that's
like
the big thing that happened. That's why I was like, I don't like to tell people I started my channel in 2020, because when all the resellers popped off on YouTube, I'm like, guys, I promise, I'm just lying, say I started in 2019 and this was going to happen. But that's what happened. There's a lot of channels who have disappeared. They're having to trying to retool, like we were talking about, and having, you know, trying to find that footing again. And it's hard, because their whole deal was, I'm going to get people into the store. We're transaction videos. That's what I called them. I'm sure that's what a lot of people did, like transaction videos. Like, people couldn't get out the house for a while, or people who maybe are living vicariously through other people spending money. That was their thing. But now it's like, how often can you do that before people are like, all right, well, that was cool, I'm moving on to the next thing. Yeah.
So like thinking about your YouTube channel, like how have you evolved like the process of like creating videos? Like, how much do you get to plan out in advance? How much of like the shots that, you know, like, because like, I know when you're first starting, everybody's kind of just figuring it out. Right. And like, you know, even with like videos that I make on, you know, my car channel and my other sneaker channel that I started like a few months back, my thought process is so different now than what it was 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Right. It's like, I think about B-roll shots. I think about like the intro. I think about like all the different aspects of a video in a way that I just don't think not everybody does until you start making the videos. Because for me, and I wonder if this is similar for you, but like without that organization, making a video is like, it's so painful. No matter how good, like, unless you're like Jacques and Seth and these guys and Fomer and these guys that have been doing it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be there and I'll see Jacques turn on and just be like, knock out whatever he needs to say in 30 seconds. And you're just like, what?
He's like Lil Wayne in the booth. He didn't have to write it down. Like, unfortunately, I still have to write things.
Like for me, it's like, I'll do that and I'll be like, okay, well, I need to re-say that. And then I'll say half the sentence over, but not the full sentence. And then when I'm editing, I'm like, well, that doesn't work. So I'm trying to redo it all and fix it all. And so like, for me, it was a really long process of realizing like, I need to be as thorough upfront about this if I'm going to make a video. And I'm not great at making videos to begin with, but I can do it now because I'm like, I learned all this with all the pain that I went through to make, 10-hour editing sessions for a 5-minute video and all that fun stuff.
Oh man, like, so when I would first make videos, it would be like, okay, let me look at the shoe. Because it was straight just facts. It was like, boom, 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 facts, this is what it is. Of course, my initial impression of it. But now I really want to try to have a conversation with people because it's more than just, oh, here's the shoe, blah, blah, blah. There's more design aspects. There's what was the, creator of the sneaker thinking in the process? Like, what does it actually mean? Try to get on like you're talking to somebody. That's where, I think that's where I came up with like coffee time kicks. Is like, dude, you're sitting across from somebody drinking coffee. Is like, what is this? How are you gonna talk to the shoe to somebody? Is it just gonna be like, hey, it's got a boost midsole, it's got some plastic on top? That's not how you're gonna talk to somebody. You're actually gonna have a conversation. And so I am an actual dude. If someone came in my office, they would think I was a maniac because I have books everywhere, dude, of just like planning and like stuff, and like from this is a newer one, so probably not as much, but there's stuff everywhere of just me trying to jot down. Like, my brain goes a million miles an hour. Like, I can think of like so many things at once, and if I don't stop, I'll forget it. So I'll write it all down. I won't necessarily have like a one-to-one script I'm going off of, but I will have this rubric, this skeleton to go through and say, okay, I want to hit these points, and then because I have a hard time writing out my personality. That makes sense. Yeah. Like, I can't go like laugh at this or have this kind of reaction here. I put the facts in that I want to talk about in what order, and then like, all right, cool. Now talk about it like you would talk about it to your friend, and
yeah,
that's how I'll go about it. But I do have to write it out because there's so many things with certain, sneakers or certain sneaker topics that you can forget. So get all the facts in line. I double check things 100 times because I'm okay with being wrong. But I'd rather be wrong if I researched a bunch and not just spitting out random things, because there's some channels that just be talking nonsense. And it's like, not even close to right, or they don't have knowledge. Like, I don't know everything about every shoe. None of us do, but I pride myself on going in and like researching before I make a video or talking about a topic, because I don't like being wrong. Like, I will like say something and like have a oopsie on the video, and I won't edit it out on purpose because like, dude, I'm a real person. I'm not perfect, so it is what it is. But that's my process. Like, I gotta at least start somewhere on a piece of paper and expand on that, because like you, dude, I'll go through a take. My wife had looked at me one time. She's like, I walked by your office. I heard you say the intro 16 times. I was like, yeah, I just couldn't get it right. And I just keep going over and over. Memory card's full. Delete it over and over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's tough, man. And I think that's something that we forget, because we watch all these people that make it, look all perfect. And like, that's not reality for most of us. And it's not a bad thing. It's like the learning process is something that I've become like more, accepting of, I guess, is the best way to put it, but how do you, like, do you try and I know this changes, and I'm not trying to say like you should have like all these things, but how do you like even like think of like mapping out ideas and like, like, is it like, do you see a shoe that comes out and you're like, okay, that's got to be one for the channel? Or is it like, I've got like, I don't know, I got to do a video for the next 5 weeks. Here are the 5 things that I'm going to talk about. How do you think about that? Because I know you also mix in interviews, which is what I think what I want to get to after that, is like talking about like the long form stuff too.
Yeah, so it's a mixture of both. So if I see something and it interests me, I won't make a video. So if anyone asks, like, I will, if you ever wonder, I should say, I won't make a video that doesn't interest me. So whether it be something I bought, something that someone graciously had gifted to me, if it's not something I'm interested in, I won't make a video, because I'm not gonna make a video dumping on something, but I'm also not gonna make a video half-heartedly because someone sent it. Like, I'm thank you, I'm aware, or make sure it finds a home where it needs to be. I won't ever do it to anybody because it's not fair, just because my taste is different. But I will look at shoes and like, I gotta talk about that one. For example, AE2. That was, as soon as I knew we got full designs, as soon as I was able to find a pair, I was like, we are going to make that video.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, those are going to be the outliers. We're all on sneaker, fill in the blank in media. So we see lots of topics pop up from Instagram to Twitter, LinkedIn, wherever. as I'm reading topics that happen because the news cycle with sneakers is so quick, I'll jot down like, oh, okay, 4 or 5 things, and I try to complete my week that way. And it's like, okay, let's talk about this. If it's a topic that lasted more than a day, if it lasts more than one day, it's going to be around for at least a week, so it gives me time to do it. So the turnaround's a little easier. So that's really how I'll try to find it. Like, oh, this comment got a bunch of traction from this person, or oh, they said something out of pocket and it's getting crazy on Complex, so let's dig more into it. So it's really just a combination of both. Like, ooh, I'm really excited about this product, and then, okay, well, this topic interests me. Let me dig deeper, see if it's worth talking about. So they go hand in hand, really.
Yeah, definitely. Do you like do you determine whether it's going to go on like Instagram versus YouTube? Because like some topics are going to be, like for me, it looks like YouTube, or I should say YouTube never really gets like the depth of conversation, like the debate doesn't happen there. But on Instagram, that's a kind of a part of what maybe it's not even just sneakers. It's much bigger than sneakers, but like a part of what those like short form videos do on Instagram is like create the narrative for people to debate and go back and forth or something. Do you think about that too when you're like looking at like, oh, somebody said something or whatever?
Yeah. I still A/B test and trying to figure out which one does better. I am still kind of in that mode. Like, it's probably been about a year of me trying. So long form video, unfortunately at this point, is not the most viewed unless it's like someone's vlog or something like that. Like, vlogs are doing well, or people taking their streams and putting them on YouTube are doing well. But the attention span, which is crazy to me, of someone talking about a topic or a product unless they're going to buy it, is not more than it feels like maybe at max like 5 to 7 minutes. And that's being generous. Right now everything is like a 3-minute max. That's why you notice YouTube Reels or YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikToks have given you a 3-minute expansion now. It used to be 90 seconds, you're done, but 3 minutes seems to be that threshold of attention. And so at this point, I've been doing videos in 2 ways: 90 seconds my shorts, and then 3 minutes for a longer form video. And I put them everywhere at this point. And I've been comparing numbers and metrics. So I will stagger them out within a couple hours of each other: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and even put them on what's that thing, X or Twitter, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I will be able to see some crazy results. Like, I mean, some things will be like, boom, it just blew up like immensely on YouTube, but then it didn't do so well on Instagram, or did a lot of engagement on Twitter, but it sucked on TikTok. So I kind of I cover the gambit. Like, I want to hit everything, so that way, because I've been able to pull in support from different places. Like, you get different types of people and able to make different connections from each of those platforms. So I feel like, even though I hate the place, Twitter's giving me more person-to-person interaction. Instagram is definitely more brand visibility. And I can say the same thing for YouTube as well. I think those two hand in hand, brands are looking at how those are doing. TikTok, I'm never going to be a TikToker, so we will see how that engagement goes, because been up and down. Like, the video I've done, it was just the intro of my video for the Vomero 5. I got a pair, literally just the intro. Told him no information about the shoe besides showing it and saying I wore the shoe for 7 days straight. The video got 196,000 views.
Yeah.
No clue. But I get some real information, 10 views. I'm like, well, okay, I don't know what you people want, so I'm never going to win this battle. But hitting all of the big platforms is kind of my test right now to see which one's going to provide the best value.
Do you edit differently for each one, or do you edit on each platform, or do you just edit one time and then try to get it as close to fitting? Obviously you're going to put titles and the thumbnails and the, captions are going to be, similar or different across platforms, but how do you think about that?
So I typically have one video and I put it across, because I have this big thing with quality. And so I will shoot, in most cases, unless I'm out and about and I use my phone, which phones are still crazy quality at this point, but I shoot most things with my mirrorless camera. and I will edit them. I don't like to edit on my phone. It's it's an abysmal process, but I edit everything through DaVinci, make sure it's cleaned up, and then I post on everything. Everything is the same length. Everything. I will edit captions again, like you said, based on the platform to see what pulls people in. But I will say I know something that works now, and I hate it because I don't want to edit there, because Instagram has their own edits platform. And if you use their edits platform to edit things, it pushes videos out more than in you bringing something in from edit from a different system, which is a stupid game to play, Instagram. But I tried it yesterday. In comparison to 2 videos I put out, one video is doing decently well, but the other one just blew up.
Yeah.
Because I did it through edits.
That's crazy, man. So you use DaVinci. Do you use the free version of DaVinci still?
Heck yeah, if I can cut costs.
Man.
So if anybody wants to know, I mean, you can ask me and Nick. This is a very less than minimum wage paying job.
Yeah. I will say, like, and this is probably similar for you. So I'm monetized on the car channel, right? Like I got monetized within the last couple of months.
Nice, dude. Congrats.
And that first, check, for me, it was like about $180.
Yeah.
Was like, I mean, that felt like a year's salary in like emotional value, right? Because
I'm with you on that.
I uploaded, I wasn't even consistent, but I've uploaded, hundreds of videos on the channel, like trying to get it to that level. And I've got a couple of pretty good videos up there that are up in the like 20, 30,000 range. So like it's moving steadily, but it's such a long game, and it can be so disheartening, but the little bits of like excitement are so much bigger for me than, like I love the podcast and doing the show with you guys and doing, I've done 5 different podcasts in the last 10, 15 years.
Podcast master. He's everywhere.
Yeah, actually, I've done more than that. I've done like 7 or 8 podcasts. And because I love just talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I love, like, if we lived in the same city, I'd be like, yo, Mike, let's go grab coffee, and I want to hear what you're working on for the YouTube channel. Because then I can go do things and like see how it works, and I can give you feedback. And I think that's how we all collectively win faster, right? Is like the group approach to content creation, like, to me, is like, and you see it with like, I want to shout out the Soul Brothers guys, like, cause they do it so well on TikTok, the back and forth, like, and you look at their page and like, they still have the same ups and downs that everybody has. But like, that to me is like, just like putting it out there and always moving forward with it is like such a it's just a powerful thing. And then to have like the both of them doing it, to like see and listen to your conversations with them on the show, and like all of the people that are out there doing it, Front Page Aaron, like everybody's got like this little unique lane. And I think like the more people are talking and supporting, and like even Haas, right? Like,
for sure.
I was like on that show like 4+ years ago, whenever he started, and like,
I know. I was like, when he was
so
recording his apartment, and now he's got a whole set. I'm like, all right, Haas.
It's so awesome to see. I'm so excited for him to like be able to do that, because then you've got to that point where you have the studio and you have the space. Now you can have people coming in. You're in New York, where people are already coming through, like I'm kind of out on an island out here, or peninsula out here in Monterey.
You, bro.
Where,
I'm like, hold on, I can be like Haas. I'm like, I need to get people to come to see me.
Yeah, it's cool though. Like, it's so cool to see it, because it's like proof of concept that like anybody can do this and like find their own lane. Because like, like it's not like anybody's concept is like mind blowing, right? And I don't mean to like dumb down people's stuff, but like we're not like creating rocket science, and we're
not doctors by any means. We're just talking.
Like, yeah, like we're not the Mark Robers of the world building entire like crazy, scientific experiments to make videos or content. And I think that's like what's really fun about it, right? But finding the support has been always really like the ups and downs for me also kind of align with like where I'm at in like sharing that process with people. Because a lot of times too, like even with just recording the podcast, we've done, like we were saying, almost 500 episodes. And like our schedules almost never align at this point. And sometimes like right now we can squeeze out like, an hour of time to do a show or to to me, when our show is most successful, whether it's numbers or just the way I feel about it, is when we've been like, cool, we're going to record Thursday nights or Wednesday nights or Tuesday nights every week for 2-3 months. And like, we really get in the flow of things, and it feels like the audience also like gives us that feedback in like, you know, views and like in, you know, comments and all that stuff. So,
something else that I noticed that comes into like success is like being like bringing personality. I think our best episodes of the podcast are talking about shoes, of course, that's our thing, but it could be the most random crap that we start talking about afterwards, whether it be like the MCU or again, our funniest episode I think was the freaking M&Ms. Like we went on like a 30-minute tangent about M&Ms. Is like when people can see who you are, whether it be through the podcast, you're not having to put on a character. I think that's what a lot of people fail, thinking they have to put on a character. That's when people will relate to you more. So I think all the people you mentioned have their own like set personalities. Like, hey, we like these people because they have, we can relate to them on different levels, not just, oh, I'm here with the shoe. Yeah. There's so much more to it. It's like just kind of that through line to everything else. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like you said, we could start a conversation about sneakers, but we'll be on something else 10 minutes later. And that's why, I don't know, that's what people I feel like are looking for now, just more of a personal experience, because I feel like personal connection is like, is wanted so much now because everything going on in the world, that they can find a personal connection with you through these outlets. I think that's what are making, that's why I think streamers have become so popular. Even though I'm like, I can't sit and watch them, but I think having that so-called personal connection across, you know, between the screen, I think that's what helping them to be so popular.
I think it even works in like, you know, a work environment. For me, like I'm trying to build this independent lane now. I'm going to say I am building this independent lane now. There you go. Speak that into existence, Nick. Yeah. But in all the jobs that I've had, like I keep like a big like 3-pound bag of Sour Patch Kids on my desk. So people come by, get a couple pieces of candy, and I get to have conversation with them.
I'm glad I didn't work with you. I would have had cavities.
Hey, I had to put like one of those disclaimers at the on my desk that says that, you know, I'm not responsible for
risk.
Yeah. But I think about that because, you know, even when I went to StockX, you know, like I ordered up like a 5-pound bag off of Amazon. And was like, you know, let me just, you know, this just like breaks people's, like it's human, right? Like we forget because we're trying to do this, like, you know, I don't want to, performative is not the right word, but like we feel like we're having to perform to create content in a lot of ways. Exactly. But then like the M&M's episode for Sneaker History is a great example. Like so many of those shows that we didn't talk about sneakers are the ones that got the most views. And like people just wanted to know us beyond the sneakers because they see us in the sneakers all the time.
It's a given already, right? Like,
yeah, like they don't necessarily need to know like sneakers, which is funny because like on the flip side of that, you know, like that works in like the podcast long form kind of world, right? But if you were to do like an M&M review video on your channel on YouTube, you'd get like 6 views. Yeah. And like it's so weird because the algorithms don't tell you these things, but these are the kind of things you get from having conversations with people, which I think like for people that are like looking at content, watching, or even creating content, we get wrapped up in like all of the stuff that we've got to do and we forget those elements. You know, like I love, like I personally, I love seeing you and your kid skateboarding, like learning.
I just hope there's no ambulance that pops up in that video soon, because I'm looking a little shaky.
I know, man. I've seen a couple of it, and I was like, oh man, he might have had to cut. He might be feeling that one. You know, had to cut that clip a little short.
I love the, and no, that's what it's so funny because I started doing that with him. I was like, you know what, we're already out here. It's like, let's just see what happens, because I just wanted it for more like record keeping for us. See, like, cause we don't go outside take pictures as much anymore. No one's walking around a camcorder. I was like, dude, let's throw the phone on a tripod. Let's see how this goes. I mean, at least we can laugh about it later, right? Funny enough, that is like those 2 videos I did with that are just like kind of funny. The most engagement like I've received in a lot of different things, because it's, again, is like other parents, other dads, who are like, "Oh, dude, that's awesome you're doing with your son," or people like, "Oh man, you inspired me to do something else with my kid." Also, I do it because it's like people have this. My son told me this. I guess they were yelling this at a kid at school or something. They call people tryhards. I'm like, what does that mean? And he explains like, well, they basically, if you're trying hard at something, people make fun of you. I looked at him and was like, first of all, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I was like, you live here, you go try hard at everything. Let me know who I need to go fight at your school. And then I did that video purposely on that because if we talk about doing something with trying, like every day trying to be consistent, trying to be better, and then failing, and then trying again after that. And that's really like kind of the underlying message of that. Like, dude, I will show you, I will fall down a million times. I'm 36 years old. Like, my body's going to come scrape me off the ground at least a couple times, but I'm going to try again. But I'm not scared of that failure or showing you the failure because it's okay, And I think that's what people don't understand about what it be podcasting or the video. It's just like, you're going to fail a million times. Suck it up. If you want to do this, get back up and do it again. But it's okay. It's okay to fail. People are going to talk their talk, but guess what? If you go to those accounts who are talking trash, which I've done a couple times, because at one point I was like, yo, I'm a little irritated, but go to that person's account. They got 2 subscribers with no videos.
Yeah.
Or 2 videos with no subscribers. Don't take that to heart. Just keep going. That's been my thing. It's like, dude, I'm just going to keep going and just have fun and just enjoy whatever this is, because I'm not making a paycheck off of it, but would I want to one day? Yes, but I can't do that unless I try.
Yeah, definitely. And it starts with getting you a pair of shoes or a couple pairs of shoes out of it, and then it's like, work your way up, right? I think I forget who the quote is from, but there's a quote that just pops into my head that's basically like something along the lines of like, anyone who's doing the thing you want to do will never ridicule you for your starting place getting there, right? Because they all had to climb up and do that, right? They all remember how hard it was. And I think it's interesting too, like, like with sneaker history as an entity, I've struggled to give it an identity, right? Like it's always kind of been this like, well, I just like doing this stuff, so I'm not trying to monetize it. Like, of course, I've asked for people to support the Patreon so we could pay the bills, and like things are expensive, but like now that I'm like in this place where I'm like there is no option, right? Like work is not happening the way I want it to, so like I'm going to make this happen. But like it's going to be funny because when it does, and when I'm like, I'm celebrating that, like, hey, this is now my full-time income.
Yeah.
People are going to forget that I've worked in this industry for 20 plus years. Like I was looking it up. I was product testing shoes for Nike in 2001. So like I had a wear test like account with them for 7-8 years. Wow. I did running shoes, basketball shoes, and training shoes. So like I did a lot of that stuff for free. And like in hindsight, I'm like, of course I did it for free because I love this stuff. Yeah. But like now I'm like, people are going to see the success of whatever you get to, and they're thinking, oh, like, well, like it's almost like the same thing with YouTube videos. Like you get so caught up in like your audience and you're like thinking about like the people that are going to watch this. But like if you made a video that did 1 million views, that's so much more than like, that's for people that are not even connected to sneakers. Like that's for people that are like, that don't even know what Saucony or Asics are. They only know Nikes or what. Yeah, exactly. Like, but like, that's where you want to be shooting for, right? You want to be shooting for these like super high up, levels, and then kind of landing somewhere, in the middle where like you catch a new group of people and then you build that audience from there, which is really kind of interesting. But it is really weird how like the kind of like narrative of just like try hard seems to just be a thing right now, right?
Yeah,
where
like,
I'm
dude,
like,
that's silly.
I'm like, there's nobody that's actually successful didn't try their absolute hardest. Like even the people that we look at and think that person has the most skill or the most athletic ability or the best, camera, whatever, like the best tools, they work their asses off to get to the level to where we even get to know them. Even the people that make it look like they don't work hard worked really hard to get to that level. And I think that's an interesting thing to like kind of hone in on. But kind of shifting that conversation, you've done something that like I think I've tried to do with sneaker history, like in a less consistent way, but like you've kind of done like long form stuff. You're doing like interview stuff. You're doing like, you know, obviously product stuff. How do you like think about wrapping that all together? And like, how do you look at it when like, I don't know, you probably put up a long form video on your channel that you're like, yeah, this is a great conversation. I really enjoyed this. But then it probably gets like a third of the views of like the previous video you did reviewing a shoe.
Third, maybe even generous. I mean, I do it all by, I don't know, just kind of, again, what interests me, like if I think the conversation was like great, and I was like, man, I think, or just a key point was really nice about it. I was like, I want to show that because I think other people would like benefit from it. When it comes to sneakers, my whole thing is what can people benefit from? Because with the channel, I want to be able to provide someone with some kind of like positivity or something, you know, through it. It's like there's so much negative crap everywhere. And again, whether it is like just a funny take on a shoe, or you know, a kid who's been saving his money to, you know, buy this shoe, and it's like, man, I can help give you some insights to that, or again, just conversations I have with folks. I just want to be able to put out things that if I can, between 90 seconds and 12 minutes, if I can give you a little bit of a light to your day, just like forget about the crap, that's my goal. That's genuinely it. It's just like I want to be able to, like, I don't know, just let people have fun, or just have something good come out of it. Because I know a lot of times, like, I mean, you can go through all these different topics on, you know, like I say, sneaker Twitter is a thing. If you've been there, oh my God. But even when I take topics from that, it's like I try to spin those into a positive way, or at least something that makes you think of like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it that way, as opposed to just, I will never like come in and like bashing like people, or like just coming out here, like some people get in these videos, I'm like, bro, you just cursed every other word. It's like, a kid can't watch that, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it happens sometimes, we're all human, but it's like, bro, you can't, every other word can't be that. And it's like, I just want to be able to give somebody something to look forward to. It's like, oh, dude, I can like relax for like 10 minutes, you know? And that's my whole, it's not a game plan of long form, short form, long form. It's just like, what was fun? What can give somebody else a sense of enjoyment? And that's how I put stuff up.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It kind of reminds me, the sneaker Twitter thing, like, it reminds me that I did that episode with Kari.
Yeah.
When he was going to do his podcast, and I never published it. And I'm thinking like, man, I probably have like a lot of not published. Like, I know I have tons of videos that I never edited, but I have like definitely like a lot of podcasts that I've done that I never published because it just was like, oh, didn't work out timing, or I was waiting for the person to do, you know, like we try to align the shows or the content with like maybe somebody starting a new thing, like with that one, or, you know, whatever those things are. But is your kind of process for videos the same way, where you're like, yeah, I recorded that and then I never edited the full video, or
something like that? But I think it comes down to just, I didn't like it at the end, or I just felt like it wasn't like, you look at it as like, I didn't mean that in that video. And it's like, and I have some like this, like I reviewed something that's like, I don't believe myself. Like, if I don't believe myself in the video, I'm not going to put it out. And a lot of time I've had some that are like dependent, like, you know, someone sees me something like, hey, we want to have it out at this time. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll work with that. But a lot of times, no, I'll record them, and I literally is like, this one's cool. I like this one the most. I'll throw it out first. But unless someone's actually asking me like, hey, I want this one to go out first, there's typically not.
How long did it take you to get the, I feel like one of the things that like I learned, like I get worked up talking to other people, but to do stuff on my own, I have to be so much more animated to like actually convince myself, like you said, watching it on the flip side and editing it. Like I have to be so much over the top. Like it feels over the top for me because I'm super reserved anyway. But how long did that take you in like the videos to get to a level of like, you know, where you need to be before you're like doing that all the time where you're watching a video back and be like, nah, I got to do this over.
Still hate watching myself. To this day, I hate that's like, I can't watch myself because I'm like, I think I'm probably my worst critic. But when you work from home for like the past 5 years, and then also almost 6 years now, I guess, but then also before I met my wife, I lived by myself. So I'm very like out loud thinker. So I talk to myself. So yes, audience, I am a little crazy. I talk to myself. So I kind of know how to like talk and respond. So that helps out when I'm doing videos because like, well, I'm already used to talking to myself. I'm doing that right now just to a camera. So that helps. But I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm bringing that. If I'm having a conversation, like I want to have that same type of excitement on the camera. Like I say, I'm like you, Nick. Like, I'm pretty reserved. Like I'm pretty introverted when it goes like out and about. Like I don't like being around a ton of people all the time. But I'm so much more. If I can tell you something, like if I can tell you a story or tell you something about this project I'm really excited about, it'll show. And that it took me a while to get loose enough to do that because I'm like, I don't want to be like judged by this. But I would say within the first 6 months to a year, that's when I kind of like no holds bars. Like I'm just gonna talk and we're gonna just make it happen.
Yeah, it's interesting because like there's so many things that just happen with the practice of doing the thing, right? Where it's just like the editing of the videos, the feeling good about talking on camera, like being able to speak a little bit like more efficiently, get the right words out. Like keeping an eye on the camera even is like one of those things where like I know like some people will like when I started making videos, even when I started making like podcast stuff, like, you know, like we had so many things that like I look back and I would like cringe about, but we also get so much feedback from the community where like, man, I miss those early days where you guys couldn't figure out the audio and you had all the technical difficulties because it gave people like a real view of who we are, what we were going through.
They watched us grow up in real time, man.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's so crazy.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I first started the YouTube videos, I didn't have a webcam because we didn't do video for the podcast at that point yet, which is audio.
Yeah.
I didn't have a tripod yet. I had nothing. I had an old Canon I would shoot stills on, which did not translate well. It was super bad. I had my, iPhone, was it at that point?
Yeah, 5 or something. Yeah, 5 or
maybe
6
7
or
or 8.
Yeah.
Might have been 7 or 8 because we're at 14 now. I don't know where we're at this point. Maybe at 20. I don't know where we're at. But I would seriously have a bookshelf, or I had a table in my office. I had this coffee table. I had I had books at. I was like, okay. I stacked shoe boxes and books to perfectly align my phone. And you always know the back camera shoots better than the front camera. So I was like, all right. I'll do it, and then I set it, make sure it's in front of my desk. I would turn it on. I go run to my desk, test it out, and tweak, like move it over this way, move it that way, until it worked. It's like, and I love, like my brother was like, when you write a book that has to be in there, how you start it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I just would tell people like, just start. Like I could have said, no, I don't have this stuff. I'm not going to start, you know? But it's like, why the heck not? Like you said, just do it. Like why not just keep doing it and then progressively get better things to make the channel better? But it got people talking. It's like, a lot of times people are like, yo, how did you do this? I'm like, don't worry about that. we don't talk about that right now, but it got done. I don't know. Those things I look back at is like simpler times. Yes and no, but I do love, like, at least it started somewhere. I never be like, oh yeah, I started with this. Crazy cinema camera. I got all this stuff. Man, I'm winging it 99% of the time. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, people should look at your channel and like they could see that, right? They look at like those early videos, but then I think of like, even, I mean, you've done like more recent stuff, but like you and your brother did that like with the Reebok trainers, right?
Yeah.
Like that video was dope. Like seeing you actually do stuff in the shoes was like, oh, okay. Like this is, I mean, it probably didn't do like numbers the way you would want videos to do.
The people at Reebok liked it. I'll tell you that much at least.
Yeah, and the people that watched it that know you were like, damn, Mike really put an effort into this to like make it stand out differently than the other videos, right? Because I think that's like also the thing that like if it like part of what we're shooting for in as content creators of any kind is like to get to the point where we have all that time and the resources and maybe yes, fancier cameras or whatever, but like the progress of getting to that level, like every once in a while you have that glimpse of like, this is what we could do if we had,
Yeah.
you know, if this was a full-time job, if this was like a thing where we could bring in, you know, another person to shoot with us, if we could go out and get, and, you know, do all these things, you get to put that out there had to feel pretty good. Even compared to like your other videos, you were probably like, yeah, I'm pretty proud of this one, I would hope.
Dude, that one was crazy because like so my brother's friend filmed it for us, and we were out there and it's like, dude, it just looked amazing. Like my brother actually went and edited that one for me because that's what he does for his job. And I was like, dude, I'm still super proud of that video because we went out there and literally killed our bodies, but it was something different. Like no one had done that. Like I kept seeing YouTube videos of that world's hardest mile, but in our space of like wear testing and things like that, no one took a sneaker and like put it through a real test. Like we always put them on, oh look, it looks like this from this view, or but people like Chris and then Drew, they'll actually go do things in them. But I was like, I'm gonna take it to an extreme level and let's see what happens. I mean, people still ask me about that video to this day, which I think is awesome. Didn't get the most views, but it had, like you said, an impact because it was silly for us to go do that, but we did it.
Yeah, but that's such an important piece to like the whole concept of creating content and telling stories, right? Like for me, like trying to figure out, like I just did this video like that went up like a month or so ago, but like this Keen review, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I put a lot of effort into the video, and most of that video has nothing to do with shoes. You know, it was like, oh, I went to San Francisco for the day. Yeah. I was taking pictures of whales in the bay. It was like a wild experience for me. Yeah. But like, I intended to just make a video about the shoes at some point, and like that just became a part of it, right? Which was like, well, this is kind of like maybe where I want to be in this like lane of sneakers and storytelling, where like, I posted a picture, like there's a bunch of deer around where we live, right? We see them in the park every day. The other day, I posted a photo to my stories on Instagram.
Did see that? Yeah, that big old deer sitting on the ground. I was like,
big old giant buck, right? And like right on the other side, I didn't post the picture, but the doe is like right on the other side of this log. Yeah. They're like within like 10 feet they're like within 5 feet of me, within like 10 feet of each other, right off the trail. Just chilling. And like, that's like my life. That's what I'm excited to share. Yeah. But putting that out there doesn't do anything for any, like,
just keep putting it out there. Who cares?
A quarter of the people that like, like not even that, like I think it had like 100 views on my story out of 14,000 or whatever followers.
Yeah.
But yet, like, that's the way I look at life, right? It's like, to me, if I'm telling a story about a pair of shoes, I'm like, oh, this is what I saw that day. And this was I went on this walk and like, these are the shoes I was wearing, but like also this crazy, like this is a big ass animal sitting right across the trail from me,
Yeah. Like real life things. And that's, and so that's one of the things I kind of like, I want to tie that into some of the things like I said, I'm doing like with the skating videos with my son. Yeah. I was like, well, I just got, shout out to Devin and Jay over at Ruckus. They sent me over their 480. I was like, well, I got it, and I was telling Devin, like, I'm going to skate in this video, because we were talking about that in our episode of the podcast. I was like, when I get these, when you send them, I'm going to skate them. He's like, do it. I was like, perfect opportunity. It's like, this is my real life. This is what I do. When's the last time we actually used shoes with what they're meant for? And have, like you say, like, you're out there in the bay, like, photographing whales. It's like, when the last time you actually use shoes the way you're supposed to? People always are talking about the value of them. It's like, no, put them on and live life. And I think that's what I'm transitioning more into in my videos. Yeah. Like living like life in these sneakers. Like I love them. Well, there's some I probably treasure more than I should. Yeah. But for the most part, I'm going to put them on my foot and go do things. And that's like Complex Con. That video, I just want to show people my perspective of it. I didn't.
That was cool. Yeah.
We don't need crazy cuts. Here's my perspective of what happened. That's it. They have some cool shoes, met some cool people, of course. But you're going to get a bunch of recaps of people saying, oh, this shoe was $1,000 or I spent X amount of dollars. I spent $0 there because it costs too much. Yeah. But I'm going to show you my experience. And I think that's, again, we got to keep putting it out there because I think that's going to be the thing that really puts us in a category of difference. Like, here's my experience. Here's a shoe. Here's my experience in it. And that brings that person who wants to talk about the shoe. But like you said, those million other people out there is like, oh, that's just cool visuals. Let's merge and marry those groups together. And I think that's what I'm looking for. And that's something you're doing already, Nick. And it's like, I feel the most comfortable. I feel the most fulfilled when I bring videos like that out, because I'm in my natural state, as opposed to having to come put in like that hosting duty. It's like,
yeah,
this is what I do.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting too. And like we all kind of look at the internet and think like it's supposed to look a certain way, for better or worse. And I think like part of that works sometimes. Like people love seeing the end of year lists and debating it. Like we're recording this in December, so like we're seeing a bunch of that all over the place right now, and like that's a part of it. But like I don't know. I think it's been like 3 or 4 years for me where like I only talked about the shoes that I bought on my list, and like, or the shoes that I have in hand versus like this one that I want to go get. Yeah. And like, because the reality is we move on to the next thing, and like, did I get those? Like, probably not, like, and I think it's a great story, but also it's like, and it's a great, everybody likes to see people's opinions, especially once you start putting yourself out there. They're like, I want to know what Mike, thinks about all these shoes. I want to know what Nick thinks about all these shoes. But from a like creative perspective, it is really funny to like have this like formulaic approach to creating content when like it doesn't push us outside of our comfort zone. And that's what we really crave, right? The thing that drives me is like learning something different about it. Like, and it's not even like I have to learn some like grandiose thing. I could learn how to like lock my autofocus and be like stoked on it because I didn't figure out how to do that before. You know what I mean?
Something new. We all crave the ability to learn. But like I said, people are scared to put that out there because they feel like they're going to get made fun of. It's like, no, dude, let the people talk. But self-fulfillment is what you need, and I guarantee you there's somebody looking who's scared of the same thing, but you help them to move forward some way, and that's what it's all about, I think.
Yeah, man, definitely. Well, I know it's been a little bit longer than we planned for this, but
it's all good.
Thanks for making this happen. I'll definitely let you know when this goes out. Let me, I guess, give yourself a little shout out, plug what you're working on for the people that don't know.
Oh man, it's funny being on the other side of that.
yeah, exactly.
Well, first off, guys, go listen to Sneaker History. We're about to hit 500 episodes, and we have no idea what we're going to do for 500 episodes, the 500th episode, but it's going to be an episode, though. We'll tell you that much. But make sure to go, like, check us out there. But most important, I mean, you can find me on any platform under MadWatcher789. Yeah, if you want to go check it out. My YouTube is Mike Guillory, of course. But yeah, dude, just my final thought, just go create something. Who cares what people say? Just go create something, and you trust me, you will enjoy it. That's what I got to say about it.
Yeah, man. I think I would reiterate that and say you also don't know when, like you nailed it with like going out and skating with your kid. You might not look at that video for 10 years, but 10 years from now, you're going to be so proud and so happy that you actually took the time to make that video. Right.
Yep.
And you never think of that when you're making it, but like people should think about that. 'Cause like everybody's got that unique perspective, and like, I think like I feel more connected to you, seeing you get to go to Complex Con is like, like that's something like I'm excited for you. 'Cause I know you wanted to do that for so long,
man.
And like, just anyway, thanks for helping me figure out this new format or whatever. Appreciate everybody tuning in, listening, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, y'all.
See you, everybody.